with just hours left before the bank took everything. Jake sat alone in his kitchen, hands wrapped around a cold cup of coffee, staring at two papers that had shattered his life, a foreclosure notice and a court summons for stealing cattle. He hadn't stolen a thing, but the evidence said otherwise, and soon he'd be heading to prison for up to 15 years. His ranch, passed down through 3 generations, was about to vanish. His neighbors had turned away. His workers had left. Even the feed store wouldn't let him buy hay on credit anymore, all because someone had framed him, and no one believed his word anymore, except one soul, his horse, Daisy. That morning, as the wind whispered to the old barn and the creek gurgled like it always had, Jake made one quiet request to the bank officials who'd come to seize his land. "Let me ride Daisy just once more." The bank manager, Ms. Langley, hesitated, but the old sheriff, Deputy Harris, who'd known Jake since he was knee-high to a grasshopper, nodded slowly. "Let him go," he said. "Ain't no harm in a last ride, and that mare's got more sense than most folks I know." So, with a deputy walking beside him, Jake stepped into the barn. The smell of hay, leather, and sweet horseflesh wrapped around him like a memory. Daisy stood in her stall, her spotted coat gleaming, ears perked forward, as if she already knew this wasn't just another ride. "Hey, girl," Jake whispered, brushing her neck. "Just you and me one last time." She nuzzled his palm, soft, trusting. Outside, a small crowd had gathered, reporters, neighbors, a few old friends. Some shook their heads. "He's guilty," they muttered. Others watched in silence, wondering. Jake swung into the saddle, and they moved out into the open pasture, 400 acres of rolling green that had been his family's home for over 100 years. For a few minutes, the weight lifted, the wind in his face, Daisy's steady rhythm beneath him. It almost felt like hope again. But then, Daisy froze, her ears pinned back, her body stiff as stone, and she let out a deep, warning snort. Jake's heart jumped. Daisy had never spooked. Not during storms, not near wildfires, not even when a bear crossed their path once. And now, she was staring, locked onto one man in the crowd. Ms. Langley's assistant, a young guy named Cole. Cole stood near the SUV, phone in hand, but the moment Daisy turned toward him, he flinched, looked away, wiped sweat from his brow, even though the morning was cool. "Something's off," Jake murmured. Deputy Harris noticed it too. "Cole, you seem mighty nervous for a bank clerk." Cole forced a laugh. "Just ready to wrap this up, sir." But Daisy stomped, snorted again, and took a sharp step backward, like she smelled danger. Then it clicked. Jake remembered. Weeks before the stolen cattle went missing, a white pickup of Montana plates had been parked near his south pasture late at night. He'd thought it was just a lost traveler. But now, Cole's truck, parked right there, was white with Montana plates and an empty stock trailer. "Wait," Jake said, voice rising. "That truck. I've seen it before." Just then, Deputy Harris's radio crackled. He stepped away, listened, and turned back, eyes wide. "The Livestock Task Force is called," he said slowly. "They've been tracking a rustler across 3 states, using fake IDs, working inside banks. And they're looking for a white truck, Montana plates with a trailer." Silence fell like a stone. Cole paled. That's just a coincidence." But Daisy let out a sharp whinny, her whole body trembling. And Jake remembered something else. The anonymous buyer who'd paid cash for his cattle weeks before they vanished. A deal that seemed too good to be true. "You bought my cattle," Jake said, staring at Cole. "Then you stole them back. Made it look like I sold stolen stock. So the bank would foreclose and you could buy this place cheap." Cole backed away, toward his truck, but Deputy Harris was faster. In seconds, Cole was on the ground, cuffed, and the truth came pouring out. His real name wasn't Cole. It was Vince Morrow, a con man who'd stolen identities, infiltrated banks, and framed struggling ranchers across 5 states. Jake's cattle? Found in Nevada. His evidence? All planted. Even the bank's background check? Faked. Within hours, federal agents swarmed the ranch. Jake's charges were dropped. The foreclosure? Canceled. And Daisy? She stood quietly in the pasture, as if she'd known all along. Days later, Jake watched her graze in the golden morning light. The land was his again. His name cleared, his heart lighter than it had been in months. Deputy Harris stopped by, shaking his head. In 30 years on the force, I've never seen an animal crack a case like that. Jake smiled, scratching Daisy behind the ears. She never doubted me, even when I doubted myself. News spread fast. People came from all over, wanted to meet the horse who'd exposed the criminal, and the rancher who'd trusted her. But Jake kept it simple. Every evening, he'd saddle Daisy and ride the same trails, not as a man running from prison, but as one who'd learned a powerful truth. Moral of the story: sometimes the deepest truths aren't found in files or courtrooms, but in quiet moments with those who love us without judgment. Animals don't lie. Loyalty sees what eyes miss. And if you listen closely, even to a whisper from a horse, you might just find justice in your own innocence waiting in the stillness.